Speaking of shit companies, we have so many folks that are still under the impression that none of these companies, big mega entities, entertainment brands, they'll never go anywhere. They're black pilled, right? They're like, oh, well, people are still, they're going to make money, all of this, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, I just don't insult yourself as a customer. And more importantly, don't insult other people and their actions as customers. Yes, I get it. There are those that do have an addiction problem and nostalgia purposes, and they'll still continue to give people the benefit of the doubt that aren't owed it. But these companies can be hit financially. And anybody that's saying otherwise is either one, black pilled, or they're one of those like leftists who have benefited because they infiltrated these entities, and they don't want to see an entity. It's kind of like what happened with Twitter. They don't want to see a transfer of power there, not in, let's say, someone owning one of these brands that we're talking about, but that these brands won't be as popular as they were before, which means that all of the efforts that they have been trying to do for years in terms of infiltrating and being able to use that as their platform, all those efforts go null. That's documented here by Bloomberg. These media stocks have fallen more than 50% this year. Shares in Netflix, Spotify, and Meta are plummeting as Wall Street frets about the future of media. And this was 3 days ago. Is anything good happening? Analyst Rich Greenfield asked Friday afternoon. Advertising is falling apart. The cable bundle is falling apart. Streaming is slow. Name a good business right now. There's lots of good businesses. They may not be as big as the ones that you're referencing. It's a challenging time for most Wall Street experts, especially like Greenfield, a savvy analyst who has been confident in the view of the future. No, I think that a lot of people have tricked themselves into believing that the trajectory was going to be higher than what it ever was. Investors have agreed buying shares in online media companies and any incumbent learning new tricks. But they've soured on the entertainment and media sector in recent months. Shares in Netflix have declined more than 60% so far this year, and Spotify isn't far behind, 57%. Shareholders of once invincible companies like Meta and even Google are suffering, as far as are those in Comcast and Roku. While the entire S&P 500 is down for the year, technology companies lost $1.8 trillion in value during April alone. Amazon just finished its worst month in over 20 years. As you can see, Netflix took the hardest tumble, and they're down 67%. I know Disney has went down even more than this since then. If I'm not mistaken, you got almost 40% in Meta. Analysts attribute the stock declines to an unprecedented confluence of events starting with the pandemic. No. They're going to try to do that again. Believe it or not, Disney actually hasn't gotten lower yet than they were in the pandemic. Like at the height, like right when it started off, like March of 2020, if I'm not mistaken, where everybody fucking went down then. They're not back down there yet, but they are getting there. Actually, what I can do is try to put that into perspective here. Let me show you. Let's go actually here. Yeah. So if you look at it, like this is where they were at their worst that they've probably been in like a long time. So you'd say, okay, that was due to the reaction to the government and its more so response to this pandemic. That has nothing to do with what's happening right there. Where it's not as bad as it was at the beginning, but it's almost there. Right? It's almost there. That has to be attributed to something. You cannot blame a pandemic on that because we're over that for the most part. What is the cause of that? We know, and we're going to talk about it here in a minute. But these fools are trying to blame the pandemic still. The pandemic initially prompted a surge in the use of online media as people stuck at home use their free time to binge watch TV shows, scroll through TikTok, and shop online. So they're saying people enrolled in the position in like the Netflixes of the world because they were stuck at home and they saw an initial increase, though they, again, were on the decline at the beginning of it. But now the world is opening back up. People are spending less time indoors and more outdoor. That does not explain companies like Disney, who invest in other things outside of that, where they would actually benefit when you consider like their parks. They actually benefit from the fact that people are opening and people are going more outdoors. Yet that shit's plummeting. Again, we know why, and we're going to discuss it here in a little bit. But I just want to, of course, hear what they think, the experts, right? The guys that do all this trading shit for a living and speculate. Hollywood has celebrated in the struggles of some of these internet companies and Netflix in particular, but that enthusiasm is misplaced. Their struggles aren't translating into good outcomes for older business models like cable or movie theaters. Comcast lost 502,000 video subscribers alone last year, and movie ticket sales are still down more than 30% from before the pandemic. The head of the largest movie theater chain in the U.S. Told them that they won't rebound until 2025, if ever. The old is out of flavor at the same time the new is out of flavor. I'm just going to scan and see if they ever said anything about the content and the political bullshit here at all. Let me see. Netflix restructures, blah, blah, blah. Disney replaces its PR guy. Okay, so they do mention this. It said Disney Chief Executive Officer Bob Chapek put out a statement saying the company would take a position on a proposed law in Florida. Morrell was hoping Disney could sidestep the controversy by not taking a stand. The opposite happened, and now Morrell is out of a job after just 5 months in. So they're acting as if, let me say, Disney has become embroiled one of its worst public relations crises ever, taking the heat from critics of left and right. Disney's opposition of Florida legislation banning discussion, sexual orientation, and gender identity in classrooms with kids third grade and younger prompted Governor Sanders to do blah, blah, blah. So, which, yeah, they caught themselves within like this rock and in this hard place where you should have just not taken a position and left would have shut up immediately, like what Universal did in your area. And Universal is seeing record profits right now in that area in terms of what they're doing. Drunk 3PO, big shout out to him. He's been covering and keeping a pulse on this. They're seeing a lot of boost in what they've ever seen before while Disney's going down. Why do you think that's the case? Because instead of just ignoring the loud weirdos, right? Instead of just ignoring the loud weirdos, leftists, you decided to say we're going to try to help them out and take their side. And then in doing so, you pissed off the side with capital. That was your own problem. See, but to be fair, in this article, a lot of the like things that people that they did, okay, they're not acknowledging it all. In fact, they're completely ignoring it. They're acting like that was never a problem, but it was a problem. And it is a problem because what's happening is that more people are realizing that various companies they can do without. We're not talking about people that, let's say, benefit financially off of this stuff existing, right? Reviewers for like Disney products and people that are employed by these companies. We're not talking about them. We're talking about just everyday people don't need a lot of this entertainment stuff. And they're going without it and they're realizing, it ain't so bad. It ain't so bad. Things, I can do without this. And you've given them a reason why they would more than willing to use their disposable income to do various things. They're not as willing to give it up to people who have told them how much they suck. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Definitely since the summer of love in 2020. But you had all these mega corporations take the side of these leftists who were burning cities to the ground. And then you had, because of that, they linked that to obviously other various social justice shit, and all the other stuff had become more and more on the nose. And then you had this situation with what's going on with in Florida and children. Folks finally said this is enough. and we're not going to fund you anymore because we can do without you. You are disposable income. Until these companies acknowledge that, they're going to continue to go down. Some will be faster than others. And still, because they started with a big pool of cash, it's gonna be just completely like toppling them. I'm not gonna say it's unrealistic, but it's unrealistic for the short term. But who knows what happens maybe 5 years from now? These companies can look completely different if they keep down with this trajectory. And I say let them. You just listened to a clip from my podcast, For Cannon's Sake, which is live throughout the week at 12 p.m. Central on youtube.com/YoungRipper59 and odyssey.com/@YoungRipper59. Be sure to check out my website, ericdjuly.com, so you can stay up to date with everything it is that I'm doing. You can also become a member and get access to a bunch of cool perks and exclusive content, which includes a social media hub where you can interact with myself and other members. It even has an app that you can get, which is now live in the Google and Apple stores.